Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
So today what we will do is we will see the marketing campaigns. How the marketing actually works. This is called marketing to return on investment. So if you remember properly, I was saying that initially we will cover the support cases part and then I said I'll take up marketing to ROI. And then we decided that we will see the lead conversion. This is called lead to quote. And then we will see the first. We'll see the procure to pay and borrow to cash. Along with the record report and the reports for all the cases. So, since we have completed the support cases now, I wanted to show you the reports which would be available for the support cases. So if you go into the reports, you either can click on these reports, so it will open up the entire reporting structure. So here what you will do is, so you have the cases. So if you click on this, you will have all the reports available. So this is your open case analysis. You've got open case analysis. You've got closed case analysis, open case escalations. How many cases have been escalated in a case activity by support rep. So each support rep, you can actually see who is doing what. See, if you see, Roger Brown is the support rep and he's got 3 cases. And what is the initial response time for these cases? Initial response time is 6 minutes 43 seconds. Average time to assign 1 minute and 20 seconds. So, on an average, how many minutes is this guy taking for each case? For how many minutes is he taking to respond for each case? Likewise, you can. Actually, this is for the month of March. So you can go back and see from the month of December 2023, click on refresh. So this will actually, there is no data as of now because this Roger Brown has got only 3 cases and in total I think we have only 3 cases. And that's the reason it is not. I mean, it is not giving you the data, but that is how you actually see the data. You see this, only 3 or 4 cases are available and 1 is escalated to Roger Brown. So now what we'll do is let me grab it. So once I grab this case now, this is assigned to me, correct. Let's go back to the case, activity by support rep. Somebody has changed the name. That's it. Apart from that, everything is still. This is the same. These are the same cases that we have created on our own. So only somebody has changed from that, what local name Roger Brown. That's it. So the system looks fine. Now let's go back to the case, represent case activity by a rep and refresh it. Once you refresh your report, you will see that there are 4 cases assigned now. And then average time to assign is 2 days and 6 hours. Now the reason behind that is the case was created last Friday and we have not assigned it till now. So out of those 4 cases, if you see like what 8, it's been 8 days now. So for the 4 cases, on an average we are taking 2 days and 6 hours for the cases to be assigned. So that is what is happening Because we have assigned the case rep now. It is already assigned to Roger Brown. If you see, let's go back to the list. It is assigned to Roger Brown already. And that is the reason you will see this activity, average time to assign and everything. And then you can click on this customize option. And here is where you actually can bring in some fields, like in support. If you click on the support average time lapsed, now I can bring this onto this average time lapsed here. So I want to see my report. This is a custom report that I'm creating now. So there were only a couple of fields which were there. Let us say I want to see the date created also. I put in the date created. And then you can move these fields to the end left also. You can click on this and it just gets moved towards the. So I want it to be extreme. Let's say I want that to be on the first page actually. So you can preview this report. And when you see, you will see that the date created is there now. So this is how we customize the reports. So when you click on customization, whatever fields that you have over here, you know the support rep under the support rep. If you want the alternate phone number or the email address of the support rep, you can actually bring that onto the screen. Likewise, under the cases, what do you want? Probably you want a case priority or the case status. What exactly is the status of the case now? So where is the status? We have status. If you scroll down, you will have it. Case stage, case status, all these things you can actually see and bring them up here. I can click on this. I can bring the status here. And then I can save this report or I can preview this. So this is the status of the case now. This is in progress, not started escalated. So this is how you can view the reports. Now, if you check these options at the bottom, you have these options for all the reports actually. You can either collapse or you can expand the view, or if you click on this, you will get the chart. So you know what is the initial response time. It has exceeded 2 days because we have not escalated this. All this will be visible to you. Or if you click on this, it will take you to the Excel sheet. This report will come in an Excel sheet and you can open the Excel sheet and see all the fields would be there actually on the Excel sheet. This is how it looks like. POV Furniture is the name of the company. Case a customer activity by support rep. Who is the support rep? All these things you can actually see that you can bring it onto a PDF or you can bring it onto a document. You can print this or you can email this as well. You click on this option. It will lead you to the. You can put in the email address and then you can email the report. Any questions on this, on the report? So likewise, you will have all the report. Now open case escalations. How many escalations do we have? We have only one escalation because I have escalated that to Abigail Khan. If you remember the last time when I was doing this, we have escalated one case based on the city which was created. So that is the case which is escalated. Same thing you can do. You can customize and bring in all the fields over there and you can see the aging options also. What is the bans? 30-day bans or do you want the 60-day bans? If you do this, it will give you a 60-day ban. Here we were seeing you. This was 1 month only earlier. January to March. Now it is showing November to January. So all these are the buckets that you can actually create in the aging reports. Any questions on this? Now the other options are, if you click on more options, there is something called as more options. So if you click on that and scroll down, you will be able to select the audience to which you have to, give this report access to the roles, based on the access and everything. So tell me one thing, did we complete the role structure? I think we didn't do that. Roles and permissions, guys. Do you remember? No, we haven't. Then we'll have to do the roles first. Guys, I'm sorry. Let us not jump onto the marketing to ROI. I will do the roles first and then we'll do the marketing to ROI. So today we will, in the 2 hours of session, we will complete the entire role structure, how the permissions are given on the roles, and then we will jump onto the marketing to ROI. Thanks for letting me know. I was under the impression that it was done. So this is how the more options would be there. And the filters can be selected just like the saved search we have done. All these filters can be selected on the reports as well. So everything is customizable on NetSuite. You know that's the beauty of NetSuite. Most of the reporting structure that we have, most of the saved searches that we have, everything can be customized actually. So let us close down this report. Builder. So you understood the closed case analysis and all this. So let us go to the role structure, how the roles are defined on NetSuite. I think roles are under the support, and that is the reason we did not do it. But let us do it now. So in any ERP or in any, let us say any software that you use usually, you have the roles. I mean, even if you are working in a BPO, each person will have their own role. Quality will have their own role, their own login. The access level will be different. That the people who are taking calls will have a different access level. Not everybody will have the entire access to everything. So the person who has got access to everything is called as an administrator in most of the organizations, in most of the products that we're talking about. Even on NetSuite, the person with all access is called as an administrator, and that is what we have now. If you can see on the hand side, whenever you log in, you will be able to see the roles which are specified over here. So how did I get 3 roles? I have project manager, administrator and sales manager roles. So where do we have them? If you go into the employee list, or you can do it on a global search as well. I just wanted to show you all. You can search for Roger here, or you can do this also. That will also fetch you the employee name. Wow, it took some time. I was confused. I don't know why it was not displayed. So Roger Brown is an employee. If I go into an employee, this is an employee form, by the way. So whenever you want to give access to anybody on NetSuite, also you guys have access now to NetSuite. So this is where they do it. There is an employee name which is provided, and this is the email ID which is actually listed down. So this is the email ID usually that we use to log into NetSuite. So on this screening tenant, we are not using this email ID. Don't get confused. You might have your own email ID. However, on the NetSuite account, whenever you go to NetSuite account, this is the email ID that you have to use to log in along with the password that you have selected all. So this is an employee form, by the way. You can define a supervisor on an employee level. You can define what is the currency that this employee gets the salary and what are the transactions that this employee does. That is the currency. So if you scroll down, you have the email address, phone address. Those are optional, by the way. It's up to you if you want to give or not. And then you have a subsidiary. Here you can specify what is the subsidiary that this employee would actually get. And you can have employees tagged only with one subsidiary all. Like in case of chart of accounts or vendors or customers, we were doing include children if you remember. We were saying that this particular customer should belong to. Excuse me, there's 1 second. So we were saying that this particular employee should belong to parent company and include children, which means I can access that customer from 3 or 4 different subsidiaries. However, for an employee, there is only single subsidiary that you can define on an employee level. However, if they want access to different subsidiaries, as an employee, I say that I will have access only to the parent company if I'm not an administrator, all. But if I want to view the records from a different subsidiary, that is where the roles and permissions come into picture. So we have 4 subsidiaries in this system now. However, according to the role, according to the employee setup which I have, I am eligible to see only the parent company. So just keep this in mind. I will show you when we are coming to the roles and permissions how to access this thing. So this you can actually define what is the location, what's the department class for this employee as well. And this is where you can have the messages set up, according to this Roger Brown. If you have worked on a subject, if you have worked on an order, you can actually specify, you can put in an email address, you can attach certain things. This is a communication tab where you can attach certain files as well. If you see attach, you can click on this attach and attach any file from your computer and that gets stored along with that employee. This is the user notes, where you can put in a new note or view history or customize this view and do such things. Now coming to the address tab, you can specify what would be your home address, the home address of the employee. Usually all this information is maintained by the payroll department. They can enter the address. They will see all these things as employees and everything. So coming to the Human Resources tab. This is the tab which I have shown you, where you can convert this employee as a support representative. You can convert this employee as a sales representative. So on and so forth. So this is the entire HR tab, where you can actually see that you can put the subordinates under this employee. You can see what is the work status. You can see, there are certain US contingencies that you can see. The visa type, resident status, or what is the visa expiration date. All this information can be maintained by the HR team, authorized to work until what date. What are the rates also can be specified actually. So, if you can edit this, how many dollars does this employee charge per hour can be maintained in this Rates tab that you have here. If you see here, you can specify what is the currency and what is the rate. You know USD, you can specify and say that this employee is going to charge $40 per hour. You can add that and maintain it here. What is the education? What are the emergency contacts? The personal information. If the employee is married, what is the ethnicity? American, or you know what are the genders, and everything can be specified. Now, why is it that we do not have anything under this? Anybody can tell. Why are these things blank? I see gender, which is good. But why is it that marital status and ethnicity I'm not able to get anything? Any idea, any guess? Want to try it out? Maybe they are not created. Wonderful. So marital status is a master data. And that is not created. So you can go there, and if you create the list of marital status, so they are created. Are they inactive? There could be one reason behind this. If you edit, oh, this is already created. Why are we not getting it here? Human resources, personal marital status. Where is human resources lists, relationships? I think we do not have access to that. And that is the reason we're not able to see it. So just remember one thing, anytime you're not able to get data under any selection, that means that probably we do not have access to that, or maybe it's not created at all. So ethnicity, this is not there at all. Marital status page, it was there already. Bachelor, divorced, married. There is no subsidiary restriction for this also. So remain active. We'll see. Why is it not getting up? But what happens is, probably this is not defined in the system at all as a list selection. And that is the reason we were not able to see that, but now it is created. Maybe we don't have access to that at all for this role, and that's the reason we are not seeing that. So all these things can be maintained at the employee level. So there are certain things here. Expense approver, purchase approver. So what this means is, if I want to purchase something, I can put in a purchase request. Let us say I want to purchase maybe a mouse. I can put in a purchase request, but who will approve my purchase request? He will approve the purchase request from me. Likewise, I have gone to a dinner and I'm seeking a reimbursement. Who's going to approve expense approval? You can say that Abigail Khan. So whenever I put in an expense report, that will go to Abigail Khan for an approval. When I put in a purchase request, it will go to Adam John for an approval. Any questions on this? And when does it go for an approval? That is the next question. So I say that my expense limit is 29, which means up to 99. As many times as possible I can use my expenses. Nobody has to approve it. Once I use $100, that is when the approval comes into picture. So usually what they do is they just put this as a DON. So any expense that I do has to go for an approval. I should not be allowed to expense out anything that I want to. Likewise, you can also have the purchase limit. Let us say I'm a director of a company. So for the director, the expense limit I can set it up as 1,000 to 2,000. He can do anything that he wants to purchase limit. Also I can say the DORANT. So when does it go for an approval? Only if I'm using more than 1001. Only when I'm putting a purchase order more than 1001. Or only when I'm doing an expense which is greater than this. Only then it would go for the approvals that you see over here. Any questions on that? So what is this? Expense approval limit and purchase approval limit. The expense approval limit is that, let us say I'm the director. So if I'm a director, I will be an approver for the other people in the company. Let us say there is a purchase manager who is reporting into me. So whatever purchase manager puts in, I approve it. So what is my approval limit? How many dollars can I approve? When I specify this, anything beyond 5,000. Let me tell you this way. Employee to board, super, C approver supervisor. Correct. Even I will have a supervisor. So if this employee is putting in a purchase order for the $9.99, then I am the approver. If it goes beyond $9.99, then it has to go to my supervisor's approval. Correct. Did you understand the point now? This is my buying capability, guys. This is my buying capability. So if I am putting in, I'm putting a purchase order for 1,000, then obviously it has to go to my supervisor. Or let us do this way. My expense limit is also 5,000. And my purchase limit is also 5,000. And I am the purchase approval. My purchase approval limit also same. So what I'm doing is, if I have to purchase something, I can do it to 5,000. But if my subordinate is purchasing something below 5,000, it has to come to my approval. And if he's submitting purchase order beyond 5,000, then it has to go to my supervisor for an approval. That is how this is defined. Any questions on this? So in this case, only supervisor is authorized to give the approval. Or will it again from the supervisor? Will it come in a backflow? Let's see. It would be approved by supervisor. Good question. So there will be two buttons. One is approved, one is rejected. So If someone rejects it, then obviously it will go to the rejection. Any questions on that? The reason why I have come on to this employee screen is the access. So under the marketing, you will have soft opt-in or soft opt-out, which means if I'm an employee, do I want the company flyers and promotions and all these things to be sent out, which is the soft opt-out. Now coming to the access tab, this is where you will give access. You can click on give access, send a notification email. You say that require password change on next log and click on this. Don't set up a password yourself. They will set it up there. So click on require password change on the next login and you can add the roles over here. So if you see, I have administrator, TOE project manager, TOE sales manager. And where can I see those roles? If I go here, this is where the roles are added. I can go into each role and I'll show you how things work. So this is where let me add another role. I'll say I add the AP clerk. And then this is how you give the access. You just click on save for a first time login. You will give no send notification email and require password change. But if you're just adding the role, like the way I did then, that's it. After adding the role, it will not be visible straight away. You have to log out and log in. That is when it will be visible. But for now, I will switch to a different role and I'll show you how it will be. If I click on project manager role, this is a project manager role. However, I still see the same tabs that you can see here. The reason behind that is this particular role has got a classic interface. There is something called as classic interface. So the look and feel would still be the same as administrator. However, they will not have access. Now you see, AP clerk is also added now because I have added this role to that employee. Correct. So the look and feel is still the same as an administrator. However, if you see under transactions, I don't see the purchase orders. I just see the customer deposits, employees, and certain things are not visible. Just like the way we had it for the other role, administrator. I don't all see these things because this particular role does not have all the permissions that the administrator has. So if you do not want the classic interface, you can go to the set preferences and you can go to the appearance. There is something called as classic interface. If you scroll down like this, so as of now it is still. It doesn't have the classic interface selected, so I can save it. So when I save it, it changes to the classic interface, most of it. So let us go into a different role. Actually, I'll show you. Let me go into AP clerk role. Now you see the tabs have reduced, correct. That is, the most of the tabs are gone now. I see the vendors, financial vendors and financial are not a part of the administrator tab at all. I mean, these headings that you see over the tabs are not a part of the administrator. So what you can do is go to set preferences now. So if you go into set preferences now and change it to classic interface, this is a good example. I scroll down, I click on classic interface. Once you save it, you will see that it will change to the administrator look and feel of an administrator. However, they will not have all the transactions. You see, this only purchases and the purchase orders. There is no sales orders for this because his APAP is accounts payable. Accounts payable is purchases. So he will have purchases, payables, inventory only, and these headings will match with that of the administrator. So the reason why people use the classic interface is when you are training the end users, you're training them on the NetSuite. So you will train them using the administrator access. So they will see all these payments transactions lists as the way they see from the administrator view. So that is the reason most of the users will switch to the classic interface. But the level of permissions would still be the same as that of that role. You understood the concept. Yes, Kaviti. Now let us go to the roles. So you will understand this more when I'm talking about this. So let us go to the roles. If you click on Manage Roles, this is a Managed Role screen. So here you have all the roles defined within the system. Now, when I click on this custom or so, you will see the custom and standard roles here, which means whatever is standard. I was talking about a bundle. When you install your NetSuite bundles, all the standard roles will be created automatically, which means there is an AP clerk, there is an A clerk, an accountant, administrator, bookkeeper, buyer, CEO, CFO, CPO, Chief People Officer. So these are all the standard roles based on the industry standards. Based on the industry standards, NetSuite feels that AP clerk should have certain permissions. So there is a standard role assigned for that. And then ERA clerk, whatever accounts the receivable clerk does. All these permissions are predefined. So if the customer wants to change the permissions now, let us say I have an AP clerk standard. However, there is a permission missing for the AP clerk which I need for my business. In that case, what they do is they click on this customize option and they will create a custom role. Just like the way we have created custom forms. If you remember, I have shown you how to create custom forms, how to create the fields on the custom forms, how to select those custom forms. So just like the way the custom forms are created, this custom roles also can be created. So what are custom roles again? Custom roles are nothing but see this custom AP clerk. What you can do is, this is actually created from the standard AP clerk role. If you click on this customize option, it will take you to the roles main page. So this is the roles. Now here you can actually change the name of this. This is not a custom thing. I say we are dealing with BMMO client, so I can say BMMO AP clerk. So likewise, I can create a BMMO URR clerk, BMMO data accountant, and the administrator, BMMO CFO. And I will use only these roles. I will not use the standard roles. The reason behind not using the standard roles is there might be some permission. So if I scroll down now, these are all the transactions reports, lists, setup, and custom record. What are transactions? These are the transactions. What are reports? These are the reports. List this. Set up this. So out of the setup, what all permissions do you need to this AP clerk? Out of these reports, how many reports do you want to give access to the AP clerk? Out of these transactions, What all transactions do you need it? So if you scroll down, I feel that my AP clerk does not have access to adjust inventory. I want to give access to the adjust inventory. So I click on this adjust inventory, and then there are 4 levels of permissions. These are called the levels. This is the permission for each transaction, each report, each list, each setup, each customer report. And this is the level of permission that I can give to my users. So what is the level of permission? You have 4 levels: edit, view, create, and full. What does this mean? View is the least permission that you can give to anybody. So if I give view access to bills for you, you will just be able to view that and not be able to do anything. You cannot edit, you cannot create, and you cannot delete. Clear on this? Any question? Yes, tell me. It's clear, sir. So what I'm saying is for any transaction, for any report, for any list, any list means everything under this list will come under that permission. Everything under the setup will come under the setup part. Anything under custom record. If you are creating a custom record, it will show up here. So if you give a view access to any of this, the users will just be able to view and do nothing. The next level of permission is create. So what can they do? They can view and create. Which means on the purchase order transaction, I have given create permission for them. All they can do is they can see the purchase orders. They can create a purchase order. However, they cannot edit a purchase order or they cannot delete a purchase order. Edit in the sense, once you save it, this particular user can do nothing but just to create the purchase orders. Now next level is edit. What happens in an edit? These people can view, these people can create, and these people can edit. Now, when you see full, that is when they can view, create, edit, and delete. That is the difference. You understood. View is just view. No create, no edit, no delete. And here no edit, no delete. And no delete. Here it. Did you understand what is the difference between view, create, edit, and full? Yes. So that is how you define the level of permission. And who decides this? It is not you. Customer will tell you if this particular role needs an edit access on this transaction or not. Customer will tell you if they need view, edit, create, or whatever. So you will just show them how these things work. But you won't create the roles and give to them. What you show to them is this is how you define your level of permissions for your employees. So it is up to you. You can create your own BeamView role and then assign the access as per your business requirement. You will not get into all these transactions. You will not get into those reports and you will not set it up for them. Usually, role setup is not a part of the statement of work. Clear so far? Likewise, we were talking about the transaction. So if you go into the reports, since this is a AP clerk role, you know you have all those purchase order reports and everything. So if you want to give one more report which is there in this list, and by the way, you can give access only to something which is there in the list. If it is not there in the list, you cannot give access. And 100% of what is there in reports, 100% of what is there in transactions will be available as a permission under this. See report customization. Now I have shown you how to customize the report a little while ago. So this particular person does not have access to that. So that is the reason what I can say. I'll give full access to this guy. So even for this role, permission must be unique, which means report customization is already there. You see this report, customization is already added, and that is the reason we are not able to add it again. So click on cancel. You can give accounts receivable. Accounts receivable usually are FTR, but you can see view. Certain permissions will have only the view access. So you cannot have all the 4 levels of permission for certain transactions or certain reports. Now lists. What all comes under lists? You have your tasks, task records. You know all these are the part of lists. So you can add any. So what I'm trying to suggest is if I go into transactions, after going into a role, I can switch into a AP clerk role. Once I switch to an AP clerk role, if I don't see something here under purchases, I'm not able to see the enter purchase orders. The reason why you're not able to see the enter purchase orders option is if you scroll down and transactions, maybe that option itself is not there. So this purchase order full access, if you don't give, then obviously you will not be able to see the purchase order part over there. Likewise under transactions. If you go to transactions and let us say I go to the sales, enter sales orders. Enter sales orders is not there for this guy at all. Because he's an AP clerk, he's an accounts payable clerk, and he doesn't need the sales orders to be there, and that is the reason is not there. So if I switch the role now, which I'm not going to do, I'm getting locked out. If I go to this AP clerk, this transaction under the sales, it will not be available for me. I think you remember. The sales tab itself was not there when I switched into AP clerk role. The reason behind that is there is no permission given. So if there is something not visible in each role, then that is that permission is not added. As simple as that. That is one thing. Now the second thing is even if there is access, let us say I have the sales after switching into AP clerk. I see the sales. Enter sales order option. But when I go into the sales order, I'm not able to do anything. I'm just able to view. Because the level is given as view. If they give edit, that is when you will have create option and I'm not able to delete. I'm not able to delete because full access is not even. Understand? So that is how you define the permissions and the levels. Any questions on the permissions and levels? I don't have any questions. Guys, can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you. So only at the permissions and levels. You don't have the questions. So coming to the access part. If you see accessible subsidiaries, there are several options. One is all subsidiaries. So, no matter what subsidiary you have defined on the employee level, if you select all subsidiaries, then this particular guy will have access to all the subsidiaries and he'll be able to make changes according to the employees. If you click on all options, which means there is an employee A, he has access. Only he on his employee record. We have given him subsidiary too. But if he has a role which has accessible subsidiaries as all, which means he will be able to access all 1, 2, 3, 4 subsidiaries. Now what is active subsidiaries mean? Out of these 4 subsidiaries, one of the subsidiary is inactive, which is number 3. Let us say. So he will have access to 1, 2 and 4. 3 he won't have access to because that is inactive. Now what is a user subsidiary? When you give user subsidiary, this guy will have access only to the second subsidiary. That's it. Because only 2 subsidiaries on his employer report, and we are saying that we have to restrict this guy only to access user subsidiary only. Just to give you a brief example of how this works. So when I say user subsidiary 2 and then user subsidiary, here there are vendors with 1, 2, 3, 4 subsidiaries. There are customers with 1, 2, 3, 4 subsidiaries. And there are purchase orders for all the subsidiaries. Again 1, 2, 3, 4. However, this guy will be able to view and make changes according to his permission only for the number 2 subsidiary vendor, number 2 subsidiary customer and number 2 subsidiary purchase order. He will not have access to 1, 3, 4. All the transactions which are listed are under 1, 3, 4. All customers under 1, 3, 4. All vendors under 1, 3, 4. Did you understand that? So, after selecting the user subsidiary, there is something called as allow cross subsidiary viewing. If I select this, what happens is as an employee, I will have access to number 2. However, I can see 1, 3, 4 but not make any changes. Same thing. I'll have 2 customers access full access according to the permissions, but I'll not be able to make any changes on 1, 3, 4 customers. I can view them though. So if I select user subsidiary and then select allow cross subsidiary record viewing, it means we are giving them the access for the other subsidiaries just to view the records and not make any changes. Any questions so far? Yes, sir. What is this active after GUM? All and active. Active, as I mentioned, out of 1, 2, 3, 4 subsidiaries, one of the subsidiaries inactive. This number 3 is inactive. It used to be there, but it's inactive now. So if you select that active option, the user will have access to 1, 2, 4 and not 3. Yes, sir. Got it. Now there is a fourth option which is selected. So when you select this option, there is a pop-up which comes in. So what I can do is I want this particular employee to have access to 2 subsidiaries. One is Australia, one is Canada. I can click on control and give access to Australia and Canada. So he will have access or related all the transactions related to Australia and Canada, but he will not have access to the other subsidiaries. However, he can view them as long as I give this allow cross subsidiary view in. But if I remove this, he'll not be able to see the Nova Scotia. He'll not be able to see transactions from Mohan Electronics, Prashant Electronics, all these different subsidiaries. He cannot see. Now coming to the do not restrict sales role, support role and partner role. What is this? So what are this M? This score administration permissions. We won't give to anybody. We don't select it because only the administrator would have it. What is employee restrictions? Employee restrictions is as an employee, do I need access to the other employee records? So no default, which means you're not actually giving access for me to access Karthik record. Non-default to own, which means only my transactions. I'll be able to see and then own subordinate and unassigned. What is this? Which means I'm a supervisor. I'll be able to see my records. I'll be able to see my subordinate records and I'll be able to see anything which is not assigned to anybody. I can say allow me. And what is this? Own and subordinates only, which means my and my direct reportees. I do not want any others to be able to see. I mean that the transactions related to my subordinates and myself. That's it. So there's two-factor authentication required or not. So that is one of the things. And then these are the levels and permissions that you can add along with. There are some restrictions. Do you want to restrict them to a segment? Class, department, location. You can actually restrict the roles to those and then forms. So what all forms do you want to give access to this particular role? You can select each form from here. So forms also have got different forms, like transactions have got certain forms, items have certain forms, custom records, bill of materials, time entity, CRM, inventory detail, and all these things. You can make these forms as preferred forms for these employees. So likewise, under transactions, you can give forms. Then for items, you have different forms. Inventory form, non-inventory form. I told you. A custom record also. You have for bill of materials. You have different forms. All these can be selected. So that's it about the roles, guys. There is nothing else on the roles part. I have extensively explained everything that is related to the roles. One thing that we have missed is if you go into the setup roles, there is something called as show role differences. So what does this do? Let's go there. What I'm saying is my base role is AP clerk. I will say I want to compare my AP clerk to an AR clerk and I want to see what all are the differences. If I click on show, So these are the differences. Accounts payable for an AP clerk, it is edit. None. Accounts receivable is none for AP clerk, edit for AR clerk. So like this, you can actually view what all roles, how are the differences, has the permission level for each role. These things can be defined. These things can be seen with the show role differences option. That is one thing. So if you go back again, my base role is AP clerk and I want to compare my AP clerk with multiple roles, which is AR clerk, accountant administrator. I can click on control and do this. If I click on show with my AP clerk, I can compare all the roles that I have along with all the permissions and the levels you can export. What is the purpose of comparing the roles? What is the purpose? Great question. So the purpose of comparing the role is that if AP clerk has got a permission, one permission, and you want to see if AR clerk also has got the same level of permission, you can individually go into those roles and check. However, if you want one place to check everything, then this is where it is. Accounts payable register is there. For an AP clerk, I want an edit role, edit tax level, but for AR, I do not want it. So just to confirm if they have it or not, you can check this. So what they do is they actually export it into an Excel sheet. The business people. And so I'm saying that AR clerk actually needs it as edit. I like this and this, they need it as full. Highlight this. So this is how they mark these things. And then they go back and make those changes. Looking at the sheet, they want to see what level of permissions all these people have got. And then they go back to that role and make the changes accordingly. Any questions? Any questions, guys? No for my effect. So this is what your role permission differences actually does. Now, if you go back to the role permission differences, again there is something called a show, only the differences. So till now we were only showing the differences, but if you want to show all the permissions and all the level of access that these guys have, remove this part and then click on show. So what happens is, even if there are same permissions for certain records like departments, you see edit and edit, still it will show up. Full and full, it will show up. Initially, when I checked only the role differences, show only the differences, then it was showing only the differences. One has added, the other has none, the other has full, the other has edit. One's got create, the other one has edit. So only those things will be visible. If you click on that, show only the differences. If you remove the show only the differences, then entire list will be visible. So I'll tell you something. So here if I see how many I have, 437. So let's export this now. This will be much more than 437 because we're seeing all the permissions and not only the differences. So the previous sheet is for 4 roles and that is the reason it is showing a little more. But if you're showing it only for 2 roles, then obviously it will decrease. Guys, any questions on this? That's great. So this is about all the roles, permissions and levels. Bulk update translation. So if you want to update the roles in a bulk option, then this is where you do it. Full CXV. So you can do that. This is the CSV imports and exports that we have discussed earlier. So let us jump onto the marketing to return on investment. Now, since we are done with the roles, access the employer records and everything, we will jump onto the marketing to return on investment. So coming to the marketing preferences, here you have opted messages, opt-in emails, standard notification for new leads, which means whenever a new lead is created in the system. So these are the marketing preferences that you will be able to see. So there is a standard opt-in invitation message. Like whenever someone opts in for marketing flyers, there is a message which is already pre-built at NetSuite. So for a new leader, there is a pre-built message. For an existing customer, there is a pre-built message. So all these things are defined as part of the marketing. So just like the way you had an online support form, you have something called as online lead form, lead generation, customer generation form as well. So let us go into the online customer forms and we will see how this works. I'm creating a new online lead form, default form template. I'm enabling it online. I'm saying that this is a lead generation. Scroll down. Again, same thing. Whatever we've done earlier, it is the same thing that you will do. You will put in the first name, make it mandatory. Let's say the last name is not mandatory for us. And then email address. Let's say that's mandatory as well. You can specify what is the width also and then company name. comment. So I will create a lead generation form in this way. Our sales rep in this case, because leads are taken care by the sales reps and not the support reps. Cases are dealt by the support reps, but my lead is actually dealt with by the sales representative. So I'll save this URL for linking URL. Where can we get this URL from? Oh, support preferences. There is a redirect URL that we have specified there. Ram says something. So we can do that. Pick it up from here. Put the redirect to URL and then save it. So what this does is it creates a link for us, just like the way we had it earlier. So click on this publishable link. You will go to these options. So earlier, when we were entering these details, the system was creating a case for us. That is an online case form. Now what this does is, this will generate a lead for us in the system. This company has become a lead within the system. And where can you see the stage? If you see, I have given the email ID I've put in the comments. Where is the comment? I scroll down. I scroll down. I should be able to see that. I think. One second. Somewhere I should be able to see the comments. I think the comments field must have been hidden. That's the reason you're not seeing. So how do you know? How was this lead generated? If you go into the marketing tab, there is something called as online forms. Click on that and you see this. I can see that this lead is generated from the lead generation form that we have created. This is how you see how this particular lead was generated within the system. So how can you assign a sales rep on this lead? Same thing. Click on this. Roger Brown is my sales rep and I can assign my lead to the sales rep and the sales rep will follow up with the lead. I think this is a customer form and that is the reason we were not able to see the comments. Let us edit this. Change this. Let us go to the standard lead form. Go to the standard lead form. I'm pretty sure the comments will be visible. It's not there on this also. Should be there somewhere. Guys, are you able to hear me? I know I'm talking very low, but can you hear me? Yes, you're clear. Thank you. I don't know what were the comments, but you can actually customize this form and try to pull in that comments which are there. Let's do that, so that it will be like seeing the form once again. Fields screen fields comments. See, comments is hidden. That is the reason you are not able to see that. So let us bring the comments onto the main page. And then let's save it. So next time when we go into the lead generation lead form, let's go into relationships leads. By default, we are seeing the customers here. So that is the reason I changed the view, and that's how I got the company. If I click on this, these are mine. I'll have to change the form. So get the comments form. Guys, is this clear? Any questions on this? So this is how a lead gets generated within the system. Now I have manually assigned a sales rep on this particular lead form, but I don't want to do that. So what you do, it is the same thing again. You create sales rules, sales territories. So under the sales rule, what I say is I create a new field rule and I say city. Let us take city. And I say city rule. What I'm saying is if my city is equal to California, I'm just creating a rule saying that if is equal to California when some lead gets generated from the California city, say, I go to the sales territories. I say new territory and I pick up a city territory over here. This is exactly what we have done for support as well, guys. If you remember, I've taken a different rule. Now scroll down on the fields. I will put in the city. Go back to the external part. Open this up. This has to match as it is whatever we have given over there. So what are we trying to do now? What I'm trying to do is I have created a rule saying that if some lead comes from California, then I have created a territory saying that it has to be assigned to some as a sales rep. So we will see if this rule is working for us or not. This is the lead which got generated. So let us view that. Guys, is this clear? Likewise, the rules can be created for multiple different options. It is not only for city, it is up to the business and they have to decide on what. Do they have to create rule? Do they have billing address? They have a child of city, comments, company name, credit limit, currency, email form template. They can create rules for anything that they want to and then assign it to a sales rep, just like the way I have done it for this lead. Any questions on this? Can I take that as a no? Great. So that is how the sales reps are assigned. Similarly, let's go to the you can reassign the territory as well, just like the way it is. And these are the different customer statuses, by the way. So you have lead stage. This is the stage and this is the customer's test 10% probability, which means what we are trying to say is if a lead is unqualified, there is a 0% probability for him to be converting into a customer. When I change it to a qualified option, I'm saying that there is a 10% chance that he might change into a prospect. So once he changes to a prospect, identified decision makers is 30%, in discussion is 20%, in negotiation is 75%. And finally he converts into a customer, which will be 100%. And if we lose that customer, it is lost customer 0% probability. These are the different statuses and different stages of a customer. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.